Linda realized she was pregnant. She tried to hide it from everyone, including her parents. She even tried to get rid of the pregnancy with the help of Mira and Oki, but it didn't work. Eventually, her mother noticed the changes in her behavior, the morning sickness, her exhaustion, and asked her about it. Linda denied it at first, but later she had to tell the truth. Once upon a time, in a small village wrapped in the arms of nature, there lived a girl named Linda. Linda was like a shining star in her village, known for her beauty that seemed to light up the whole place. She was the only child of her loving parents. Her father, a hardworking farmer who always came home with a smile despite his fatigue, and her mother, a skilled weaver whose hands wove magic into cloth, creating colorful patterns that seemed to tell stories of their own. In this village, where every sunrise brought a new story, Linda was a tale of her own. From the elders sitting under the baobab tree to the youngsters playing near the stream, everyone knew of Linda. They admired her not just for her looks, but for the kindness that sparkled in her eyes. Strangers who passed through the village for trade or travel couldn't help but notice Linda. They often left gifts, coins, and pretty trinkets, as if touched by her grace. Linda's parents, though simple in their means, treated her like a queen. They dreamed of a future where she would find a love as grand as the tales told by the traveling birds. They hoped for her to meet a man who was not only handsome but kind, hearted, someone who would cherish their precious daughter as they did. In this village, where each day flowed like a gentle river, Linda's life was simple yet full of warmth. She helped her mother with weaving, often spending hours working on the loom while listening to her mother tell stories of her own youth. Sometimes she accompanied her father to the fields, watching him work tirelessly under the sun and helping whenever she could by carrying water or gathering vegetables. Her laughter was a melody that resonated in the hearts of those who heard it, and it often echoed through the fields and along the village paths, brightening everyone's day. This is the story of Linda, the village jewel, whose life was about to take a turn she never expected, a story of beauty, choices, and the mysterious paths of life. Let us walk with her on this journey and see where the winds of fate take her. In the same village, not far from where Linda lived, there were two girls named Mira and Oki. They came from the richest families in the village, living in large, beautifully decorated houses, with gardens full of bright flowers, Everybody respected them because of their wealth. They wore the most expensive clothes, made of fabrics imported from distant lands, and had things that even the hardest working farmer couldn't afford. They didn't make friends with other girls because they thought they were better than everyone else. As Linda turned 17, her beauty became even more mesmerizing. Her long dark hair flowed like silk, and her eyes seemed to hold the warmth of the sun. Everyone in the village wanted to see her. One day, Mira and Oki were sitting by the stream, laughing and talking. Linda came to fetch water. She was polite and greeted them, as she always did with everyone. When she was about to leave with her water, Mira and Oki called her. They asked if they could be her friends. Linda's heart swelled with happiness at this unexpected offer of friendship. She couldn't believe that the most respected girls in the village wanted to be friends with her. She hurried home, excited to share the news with her mother. Her mother, wise and thoughtful, listened to Linda's excited chatter. She smiled, but also offered a word of caution. "It's good to make new friends, but be careful, Linda. We don't have what they have. They might try to change you." she warned, her fingers moving deftly across the loom as she spoke. Linda's mother also told her to stay true to herself and her values despite the allure of this new world. But Linda was too excited to worry. She was so thrilled at the prospect of being friends with Mira and Oki. She started spending more of her time with them. They went out together, played, and explored the village. Mira and Oki showed Linda places she had never been, including the grand gardens of their homes, filled with flowers of every color and exotic decorations that dazzled Linda. Linda's life began to change. She was entering a new world with her new friends, a world different from the simple life she had always known. The lavish meals at Mira and Oki's homes, the lavish meals at Mira and Oki's homes, the luxurious clothes they wore, and the carefree way they lived fascinated Linda. She began to wish for more than the simplicity of her old life. As the days passed, Linda found herself increasingly absorbed in the lives of her new friends, drawn into a world that glittered with wealth, but was perhaps not as bright as it seemed. This was a new chapter in Linda's life, one that would lead her down paths she had never imagined. Linda, Mira, and Oki became close friends. One day, they heard about a big festival happening in a nearby village. Mira and Oki were excited and wanted Linda to come with them. Linda hesitated at first. The idea of venturing out to a festival in another village was daunting. She thought of her parents, their expectations, and the simple life she was accustomed to. But Mira and Oki were persuasive. They painted pictures of the fun and excitement that awaited them, the music, the dancing, the colorful lights that would fill the night sky. They said to Linda, "You're old enough to make your own choices. You don't have to tell your parents everything." Slowly, Linda's hesitation turned into curiosity. After thinking about it, Linda agreed to go with them. It was her first time going to such a big event without her parents. At the festival, Linda caught the eyes of many men. They all wanted to talk to her because of her beauty. At first, she didn't want to speak with them, but Mira and Oki encouraged her. They said, "You're beautiful, and you can get anything you want with your looks." So Linda started talking to them, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness as she ventured into this new social scene. Then, a young man named Darren came to the festival. He saw Linda and wanted to meet her. They talked and they got along well. Darren was charming, with a bright smile and an easy laugh that made Linda feel special. After meeting Darren, Linda felt different. She started thinking she could live a life different from the one in her village. She liked the attention and the new way of life her friends showed her. That festival changed Linda. She began to act differently, more confident but also a bit arrogant. The respectful village girl was now tasting a new life, one that was taking her away from her simple and humble beginnings. After the festival, Linda changed a lot. She became more confident, but with it came a sense of arrogance. She started going out without telling her parents, wearing clothes that were more extravagant, and sometimes even ignored the village elders when they greeted her. The once polite and respectful Linda was now acting differently. Then came Linda's 18th birthday. The whole village celebrated her beauty, just like they did every year. They gathered around, and Linda wore a beautiful dress her mother had made, embroidered with golden threads. Her mother had made embroidered with golden threads. She received many gifts from the villagers. But this time there was a man named Ethan who brought his gifts a day after her birthday. Ethan was handsome, rich, tall, and fair. Many women in the village dreamed of marrying him. Ethan started visiting Linda often. He brought her flowers and small trinkets, always speaking in a charming manner that made Linda's heart flutter. She liked him and enjoyed his company. During this time, Linda's parents got suspicious of Ethan's frequent visits and tried to warn Linda to stay away from him. But she wouldn't listen. Her arrogance had now gotten the best of her. She told her parents that she was now a big girl and could make decisions for herself. Then, one hot afternoon, Ethan came to visit and took Linda to his house, far from her parents' home. His house was grand, with high ceilings and beautifully carved furniture. He treated her well, and they spent a lot of time together. They talked, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company. But that day, something happened that changed everything. They became intimate. Not long after, Linda realized she was pregnant. She tried to hide it from everyone, including her parents. She even tried to get rid of the pregnancy with the help of Mira and Oki, but it didn't work. Eventually, her mother noticed the changes, the way Linda avoided eye contact, her sudden exhaustion, and her growing belly, and asked her about it. Linda denied it at first, but later she had to tell the truth. When her parents found out, they were disappointed and felt disgraced. The villagers, who once admired Linda and brought gifts, stopped coming. Linda felt ashamed and lost. She tried to reach out to Ethan, but he stopped coming to see her. When her parents and Linda went to Ethan's house to confront him, they found out he had left the village for good. Linda felt betrayed and alone. Her friends Mira and Oki also turned their backs on her, saying they had nothing to do with her pregnancy. The girl who was once the jewel of the village was now facing the hardest time of her life. She had to live with the choices she made, far from the simple and joyful life she once knew. The news of her pregnancy spread fast through the village. Linda, who was once surrounded by friends and admirers, found herself isolated. The community, which had celebrated her every birthday, now seemed cold and distant. The love and admiration they had for her turned into judgment and gossip. Ethan, the father of her child, had abandoned her and left the village. Linda felt deeply betrayed by him. She had trusted him and believed in the promises he made, but when she needed him the most, he was nowhere to be found. The realization that he would not be there for her or their child was heartbreaking. Linda also felt betrayed by her friends, Mira and Oki. They had been her companions in the journey that led her to this point, but now they denied any involvement. They said they had nothing to do with her pregnancy and avoided her. This abandonment by her friends added to her pain and loneliness. As her pregnancy advanced, Linda had to face the reality of her situation. She was going to be a young mother without the support of the child's father and in a community that no longer looked at her the same way. The respect and admiration she once enjoyed were gone, replaced by judgment and isolation. She spent her days helping her mother, who still loved her unconditionally, and preparing for the arrival of her baby, trying to find solace in the small moments of beauty that still surrounded her. And that is the end of the story. You see, Linda's story teaches us some simple but important lessons. First, it shows that the choices we make are important and can change our lives, so we should think carefully before deciding. It also tells us that the people we hang out with can influence us a lot, sometimes in ways we don't expect. The story reminds us that every action has a result, and sometimes these results can be tough to deal with. It teaches us that what really matters is who we are on the inside, not just how we look or how popular we are. And finally, Linda's story shows us that no matter what mistakes we make, there's always a chance to start over and make things right. This story is all about learning from our mistakes and remembering what's truly important in life. Thank you for joining us on Linda's journey. Remember, life is full of choices, and each one shapes who we become. Let's strive to make choices that bring us closer to our true selves. If you enjoyed this story and want more lessons like this, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Goodbye.